Hello everyone, this is Matt Badney. This is your lesson about how to solve common sentence problems. Now, when we write sentences and when we make mistakes about writing sentences, we make two basic mistakes. One, we don't finish an idea we started, or two, we say too much. So let's start with the part where we don't say enough, where we don't finish what we say. When it comes to fixing fragments, you add what's missing. Okay? Just wanted to check, make sure I'm on the... So here's our first fragment. It says, cold winter weather. Okay, that's a noun. That's interesting. But what about it? Well, to fix it, we add what's missing. In this case, we have a subject. We have a topic, but we don't have any kind of action. So what we do is we go ahead and we add an action. The cold winter weather made us grumpy. Okay? Then there's the other situation where we think of an action like fell gently on the ground. Okay? Well, what fell gently on the ground? The kid? The ball? What? So in this case, we have an action, but we're missing a subject. So we got to write something about it. So we say, the snow fell gently on the ground. Okay? Then there is another way to fix fragments, and that is if you have a bunch of fragments, or actually, there we go. You can add, sometimes you want to add what's missing that's similar. So for example, you might have a fragment that has a clause. Remember, a clause has a subject and a verb to it. But a clause that's not finished is usually a dependent clause, like, because it was Saturday. Okay, here we have a subordinating conjunction. Here's the subject, the verb, and there's even a direct object, because it was Saturday. But that doesn't sound done, does it? Okay, so if you're going to have a clause, add another clause to finish it. The simplest way, of course, is to change this period into a comma and add a independent clause, something that completely clarifies it. More or less, if you have a clause, why not use another clause to finish it? So because it was Saturday, we went shopping. And so we turned that period to a comma, and we added we went shopping and put a period. So once again, if you have a fragment, finish it. Add what's missing. If it's missing a subject, add an action. If it's missing an action, add a subject. And if you have a fragment that's a dependent clause, add an independent clause to it to complete it. Then there's the whole issue of run-ons. Run-on sentences are when there's just too much information. A great way to do it is to either add a conjunction, and I made a mistake here. There's something else. Add a conjunction. Unless I mention it on the next page. Yes, I did. All right, so one strategy is to add a conjunction. And usually we go with simple ones like and, or, but, so, as well as, yet, for. But there are others like because, also, if, then. So for example, we have this sentence here. I must catch the bus. I cannot be late. So I have two ideas here. Catching the bus, but I don't want to be late. So what I do is I insert a conjunction where one idea ends and another one begins. So the first idea clearly is catching a bus, and the second one is about being late. So what we do, that's not what well, that's important. I do want to share that, but not yet. All right. I must catch the bus, so I cannot be late. So at the end of the first idea, I put a comma, and then I put a conjunction, so I cannot be late. And so I've combined the two, and it's clear, it makes sense. But as I accidentally pointed out, make sure you only use one conjunction in a sentence. Sometimes people use and like 3 or 4 times in a sentence. You really want to avoid doing that. Only use one conjunction a sentence. There are some situations where it's okay to use more than one, but it's usually not a good idea. Finally, you can fix a very long run-on by breaking it up. And this time, you think about what are the ideas in it, and then where one idea ends, you put in a period. You can do a comma if you want, but for the most part, you want to put a period in there and maybe add a conjunction. It just depends on how you're saying it. So for example, we have just before spring break, there was a big storm. School was closed for 2 days. Then the weekend came. School opened again on Monday. Whew. Okay, that's just too many ideas. So here we have just before the spring came. That's one idea. There was a big snowstorm. Well, that's 2 ideas, but these are this is just giving me the when as to what happened. So I'm going to make that the first one idea. So just before spring, a storm came. Another idea was school was closed for 2 days. Then the weekend came and school opened again on Monday. Now, I already have a conjunction here. There's no reason not to keep that. So maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it up by adding punctuation and doing some capitalization. So here it goes. Just before spring came, there was a big storm. Okay. I'm going to put a period there. Here, let me make the color different. Period. And then I'm going to capitalize the next word. All right. Oops, I forgot to do that. Sorry about that. There we go. So just before spring came, there was a big storm. School was closed for 2 days. Then the weekend came. School opened again on Monday. Well, school opened again on Monday really doesn't have to do with the weekend. But this other part, the weekend, does have to do with this conjunction connected to school was closed. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it end at the weekend. All right. I'm going to change color so you can see what I'm doing, and then add a period. So that sounds okay. School was closed for 2 days, then the weekend came. I feel like I need a comma, so I'm going to put a comma here because I don't know, I just feel like I want a comma. Okay. And then it says, oh, look, school opened again on Monday? That doesn't make sense. I think this comma is in the wrong spot. So I'm going to just get rid of it and then put it here. Now let me try it. So now let me reread it. School was closed for 2 days, then the weekend came. Okay, that's good. But of course, school opened again on Monday. That's good, but I can't leave this S like this. It has to be capitalized. Okay. All right. There we go. So there we go. We went from having one big jumble of ideas and breaking it up. Just before spring came, there was a big storm. Period. Capital S. School was closed for 2 days, comma. Then the weekend came. Period. School opened again on Monday. Okay, so those are strategies for fixing run-on sentences or fixing fragments. Good luck, everybody.